let's talk about one of the greatest new Star Trek series on the market, the Orville. This is a weird show. Not so much for the show itself, but rather for how it exists. I mean, who would have thought that after Star Trek evolved into a radically different property from what it once was, that the person who would bring us back to its roots would be Seth MacFarlane, the Family Guy guy. I think most people would agree that when Seth announced his new, not Star Trek show, people were pretty confused, because there is no doubting that he is a fantastically talented man. He's hilarious, a great voice actor, singer, and showman, and he has proven himself to be a competent filmmaker on several occasions with Ted, and that other movie where Neil Patrick Harris pooped in a hat. So his ability was not the issue, but what about his intent? Because when you look at Family Guy, there are some phrases that don't describe this show. Phrases like subtle, philosophical, enlightened, well-written, and complex characters. All phrases that, in turn, can be used to describe Star Trek. Like, you remember that episode of Star Trek where Kirk, Spock, and McCoy spent 5 minutes vomiting on the floor? So I was very excited to see what Seth MacFarlane had done with his little passion project here. I mean, I still remember when the Terminator was elected governor of my state, so weirder things have happened before. And after watching the first season, I can confidently say that I love this show. It's actually really, really good, and you can tell that this was a true labor of love. There are so many little details he got right that proves MacFarlane is a huge Trekkie and not just a passing fan. This show isn't a love letter or an homage to Star Trek. It is Star Trek, in everything but name. So let's go through it. First, let's take a look at the name of the episode itself, Old Wounds. Star Trek has always had enigmatic, slightly pretentious episode names, and it's funny that you could see this convention carried over with Family Guy as well. The first episode is called Death Has a Shadow, and now we have Old Wounds. So, alright, we're off to a good start. The episode opens with Ed walking in on his wife Kelly with a blue dude and he storms off. Then we jump ahead to a year later and the Admiral is grilling Ed's deteriorated performance and tells him he has one last chance. Now these are great scenes to open with because they not only set up the basic plot, but also show a glimpse into our main character. Star Trek's captains have traditionally been very manly men. They're strong, confident, aggressive, and have a commanding aura. Well, Picard was also a bit more scholarly, but he's French, so what do you expect? But they're all direct people who can hold their own in confrontation. This is where Ed differs. He's a very sensitive man, being great at seeing things from others' point of view. But the downside to this is he's kind of pissy. Instead of confronting his wife, he instead buried those feelings and let them eat away at him, ruining his career. Even later, when his ex-wife shows up, he's incredibly passive-aggressive and doubts himself a lot.
And my ex-wife, Kelly Grayson.
I'm his first officer.
But if any of your research team needs an artless, jabby nail shoulder massage, she's the best there is.
I'm still not sure how good of a captain he is, but I like him a lot as a character. Then we have the rest of the crew. Isaac is clearly this show's Data, but at the same time, just calling him a Data clone would be selling him short. I also see a bit of Spock, what with his racism and superiority complex. He has Data's charming innocence and seems to be emulating Brent Spiner's voice.
You know, I gotta tell you, I was surprised to see any Kalon serving in the fleet. Aren't you guys legendarily racist?
My planet regards humans and other biological life forms as inferior, if that is your inference.
And he has the occasional scathing zingers like Spock. Plus, his arms do the C-3PO thing when he walks. I am sure that was intentional. Then we have Alara. At first I thought she was going to be like Major Kira from DS9. I think I thought that because of the nose ridges. Is that racist to say? That sounds a little racist to say. Then, as the show went on, I realized she's more comparable to Counselor Troy from TNG. They're both feminine, easygoing characters with some kind of superpower. And it seems that both of their biggest insecurities are their own ability, or lack thereof. Plus, she's often Ed's right-hand man in a lot of scenarios, just like how Troy had a special seat next to Picard on the Enterprise. Bortus is just Worf. He is straight up a Worf clone, and I am alright with that. Oh my god, is that Cassidy Yates? Yeah, it is. She wasn't the biggest character on DS9, but having her in the cast is very welcome. Here, she's the ship's doctor, which is a big position to fill. Star Trek has had some amazing, and some not so amazing, medical officers before. So far she seems like a mix between Bashir and McCoy, but not as fun as either. Not a bad character, I just feel she hasn't had much time to shine yet. Then we have Gordon and John, who are definitely the Bashir and O'Brien duo of this show. The couple of skilled, yet quirky bros who are often played up for comedy. John has another similarity to Bashir, if you've watched DS9. And finally we have Kelly, the ex-wife. I really like this character. She reminds me of Riker in a lot of ways, and the actress does a great job as well. Her face is so expressive. She's a lot of fun to watch because of how fluid her movements are. Like, her face is a little over-exaggerated, but in a good way. So overall, I'm digging the main cast. And not only are they fun, but there are a lot of great little character interactions. Seth MacFarlane's humor really works amazingly well here, as the banter between characters helps to highlight each of their personalities, and how each character would naturally clash with one another.
Wow. Any good bars?
I will investigate.
Boris, you don't have to investigate that.
I have already obtained the information.
Oh.
Shall I withhold it?
No, you can tell us.
There are no bars.
How about strip clubs?
Gordon.
Sorry.
There are no strip clubs.
I don't know, I just find interactions like this very charming. Not all jokes need to have big punchlines, and sometimes these little chuckles can be very endearing. Then after you have time to meet the crew, we get to the main plot of the episode, which is kind of throwaway. And for a pilot episode, it should be. Your audience is going to be learning the cast and universe you created, so it makes sense to make the plot a light, easy to follow action-adventure romp that gives a good taste of what to expect. Hey, it's the Jem'Hadar! Oh no, it's the Jem'Hadar. Why do I feel like I'm watching Moonrise Kingdom? I also love the Arbor Day joke at the end. Not only is it funny, but someone on Reddit pointed out that it very well could be MacFarlane making a jab at how his humor is perceived. He makes a witty joke and nobody gets it. Then Kelly makes an erection joke and everybody laughs, and Ed acts defeated. Because we know MacFarlane has the capacity to make wittier humor, but the lowbrow stuff like Family Guy is what's popular. Family Guy is still on the air not because of Seth, but because people watch it. So yeah, that's the first episode of The Orville. It's pretty good, but at the same time nothing special. Just a solid foundation for the rest of the show to grow from. And like a tree that has been genetically altered, it can thrive in any scenario with... I don't know, I was trying to force an analogy there. For this review, I'm going to be giving each episode a rating from 1 to 4. So for the first episode of the show, Old Wounds, give it a 3 out of 4. And I am so excited to see where it goes and what it becomes. Because just like the shows that came before, this is uncharted territory. It might be great, it might be terrible. Let's find out together.